How similar are Catalan and Spanish? This is a question I've been asked 1,000 times and I would like to answer it in this video. I will also compare both languages to other Romance languages so that you can see and get an idea of how similar or how different they actually are. Of course, I cannot take all the examples in the world, but I will try to do my best to show you how similar or different they are. If you're new here, I'm Laura. I create language-related content. Thanks a lot to all of you who subscribe, leave comments, the ones who support me on Patreon. If you want more Catalan content, you'll find exclusive videos over there. And thanks a lot also to the ones who support me on Ko-Fi. And if you're ready, let's get started. Before we get started, a further way for you to support me is by using my affiliate links below. You will find them. Those are brands that I personally like and use. Lingora, Lingopie, italki, and Link. Just check them out if it's something that you were looking for anyway, and it helps me if you use my links. Let's start with something simple, like saying good morning and what your name is. Bon dia, em dic Laura. Buenos días, me llamo Laura. Bonjour, je m'appelle Laura. Buongiorno, mi chiamo Laura. So if we look at those examples, for instance, we have bon dia, which funnily enough, I didn't include Portuguese because I don't speak it, but it's also bom dia, so it's quite similar. And you know, we have the dia, which we share, for instance, Spanish and Catalan, but in Spanish it's plural and it's a little bit different. Also, when we say mi chiamo Laura in Italian, it's very similar to me llamo Laura in Spanish, but both Catalan and French are quite different. Em dic Laura. Je m'appelle Laura. I will also now just take some random words. As you will see, some of them are almost the same, some of them are completely different. For instance, for apple, we say in Spanish manzana, in Catalan poma, in French pomme, very similar here, poma, pomme, and in Italian mela. For instance, the word for cheese is queso in Spanish, and actually the other ones are more similar to each other. So we have formaggio, fromage, formaggio. And interestingly enough, I don't speak Portuguese, but it's queijo, queijo, probably. I don't know how to pronounce that. Then we have a word like small, pequeño in Spanish, petit en català, petit in French, piccolo in Italian. Then for the word red, we have rojo in Spanish, which is quite different from vermell, but actually in Catalan you can also say roig, which is then the same as the other Romance languages, so rouge in French and rosso in Italian. And then there are words that are almost the same for all the Romance languages, so it's like canción, cançó, chanson, canzone. In those languages, I'm sure in Portuguese it's almost the same as well. Then there are words that are the same in Catalan and Spanish or almost the same but different in the other languages, like banana, we call it plátano, platan. And the other languages say banan, banana. So it's like almost the same as in English. I personally feel that Portuguese and Spanish are closer than Catalan and Spanish, and I'm going to show you that with some examples. Of course, I cannot really say it for sure because I don't speak Portuguese, but whenever I've read something in Portuguese, I felt like it was very close to Spanish. For instance, we have here some verbs. So we see comer in Spanish, manjar, manger, mangiare, and in Portuguese, I guess, comer also, so it's almost the same. And also, just to include Occitan as well, manjar, which is very similar to Catalan. Also, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, so sorry about that. Then the verb to speak, they're all very similar, but I feel like Catalan, French, and Italian are a bit more similar than the rest. So it's hablar in Spanish, parlar, parler, parlare, falar in Portuguese. And here we see it again with the verb to want. Querer, voler, vouloir, volere, querer. So you see it's quite similar. Sometimes we forget that the pronunciation is different, so we have more vowels in Catalan than in Spanish. In Catalan there are 8 vowels, in Spanish 5. So even if you see the same word, like for instance a very simple word like entering, right? It's entrar in Spanish, entrar in Catalan, at least the dialect I speak. So it's not the same, even though it's written exactly the same, right? Or like when you say hello, you say hola in Spanish, but in Catalan you would say hola. And then you have words you think are the same, but actually are false friends. So for instance, the word cama. Cama in Spanish means bed, but in Catalan it means leg. Or the word nombre. Nombre in Spanish means name, and nombre in Catalan means number. So it's written the same exactly, and you'd think it's the same meaning, but it's actually not. A couple of more things that are different, I'd say, are the use of pronouns. I think Catalan is more similar to French and Italian in that regard because we have more pronouns. So for instance, you say, I have 2 apples, I have 2. In Spanish, you would say, tengo dos. And in Catalan, you would say, en tinc dues. So you need this en. Also, for instance, if you say, I went to the supermarket, I went there, you would say in Spanish, fui. Just simply, fui. And in Catalan, you would say, hi vaig anar. This I is showing that you went there. You need that pronoun. And it would be the same in French, actually. J'y suis allé. And one more difference you might have spotted is the past, which is actually something that's very strange in Catalan compared to the other Romance languages. So for instance, if you say, I went to the cinema, you would say, vaig anar al cine. Vaig anar al cine. But in the other Romance languages, when you have this structure with the verb to go, it would be to mean the future. You would say, voy a ir al cine is actually the future in Spanish, right? But in Catalan, it's the past, so vaig anar al cine. In a nutshell, I think that Catalan and Spanish are quite similar when it comes to vocabulary, but the pronunciation is a bit different, and there are a lot of words that are not the same. And sometimes Spanish is different from all the rest when it comes to certain vocabulary. And one of the reasons for that is that Spanish has had more of an influence from Arabic, and that's why sometimes you have almost the same word for all the languages we've analyzed, but not for Spanish. But we can dive deeper into it in another video. If you speak Romance languages, are there any things you've noticed that I didn't mention in the video and that you find interesting? I would love to know. I hope you're all doing amazing and looking forward to your comments. Bye bye!